Hey, if this video gets 10,000 likes, I'll fuck around and give away some of my coffee. Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. Sam Darnold will no longer be the worst quarterback in his division, Perna. And it was close last year with Cam Newton in New England. Cam and Sam, I am. Today I'll be recapping the NFC South offseason and giving these teams a new rank of power heading into the 2021 football season. Two teams will have new starting quarterbacks. One team has a new head coach and GM, and the Bucs are fresh off a Super Bowl win, and they re-signed everyone. Even players they didn't need, like Antonio Brown. So, AFC South, let's break that down. That's good sports. Please, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Or don't do it and watch your entire life fall apart in front of your fucking eyes. And today's episode is sponsored by manscaped.com/goodsports. And after power mowing my pubes for the last month, with the new Lawnmower 4.0, I can confidently say it is the best electric body groomer in the universe. With all of the recent alien talk from the government, I think Manscaped got this technology from another, even more puby planet. Crotcheter. If you shave as much as me, you'll love the new power level indicator to show you when it needs to be charged, which can now be done wirelessly, and the 4 trimmer guard options have all of my body hairs dialed in for the blazing hot summer. I love that there's some dude at Manscaped whose entire job is to think about how to make my balls prettier and cleaner. And today I'm thinking about his balls because the Lawnmower 4.0 is your finest work. So make sure you have the right tools for your family jewels by ordering at manscaped.com/goodsports. That link will save you 20% off plus free international shipping. It's a whole new balls game. As always, we start with the power bottoms of the power rankings, and coming in at 4 is the New Orleans Saints. My only first to worst team in the entire prediction series. If the Saints want to know what life will be like for them without Drew Brees, they can probably refer to my 2016 Denver Broncos, who weren't quite sure who should succeed Peyton Manning. And let me tell you, the only wrong answer is Paxton Lynch. Drafting Paxton Lynch. The Saints didn't draft a quarterback in the first round, though they were rumored to be thinking about it. Instead, they're rolling into 2021 with Jameis, Winston, and Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, who barely outplayed Kendall Hinton in a real game, and Jameis Winston, who, the last time we saw him as a starter, was throwing his 30th interception of the year. In one of my favorite videos, the Jameis Winston 30 for 30. Now, the real accomplishment for the Saints this year was not having to trade any star players to get themselves under the cap. They were able to hang on to tackle Ryan Ramczyk, Marshawn Lattimore, and wide receiver Michael Thomas, who I'm not sure is a star without Drew Brees. Now, like a lot of people on draft night, I was shocked when the Saints took defensive end Payton Turner in the first round. Not because I didn't think Payton Turner was a first round pick, it's because I don't know who the fuck Payton Turner is. It's like Sean Payton was visited by the spirit of John Gruden. When you're a team that has nothing to spend on free agents, you don't want to be messing around with your first round pick. And since the Bills and the Ravens were both applauded for drafting edge players Greg Rousseau and Odafe Owe 2 and 3 picks after, only time will tell whether or not Nola really reached here for no reason. Like I said, the Saints didn't draft a first-round QB, but they did spend a 4th-round pick on Notre Dame quarterback Ian Book, who's essentially the Daniel Jones to Drew Brees' Eli Manning. That makes sense, right? I'm curious to see what Sean Payton does with Book, besides throw the book at him. Playbook, that is. A guy who doesn't have a great arm and doesn't have much of a frame. I guess it's not much of a departure from what they've been doing the last couple years, if I'm being honest. Just don't let the rest of the NFL play Ian Book's ribs like a xylophone and use Alvin Kamara on every single play. Now, I think the Saints might be in for a letdown this season. I don't have much faith in either of their potential starting quarterbacks this season, and it looks like Jameis Winston is training to eliminate turnovers by never getting rid of the football. Jameis Winston becomes the first quarterback to start at least 14 games in a season and throw 0 picks. Jameis Winston also sets the record for the most sacks taken with 800 in 1 year. And somehow that's still a better option than Taysom Hill. The other issue, I think their defense took a step back, losing Alex Anal Zone. Highway through the anal zone. Anal zone.
Anzalone.
Anal zone.
Anzalone.
Anal zone. Whatever, Alex. It's anal zone to me. Janoris Jenkins and Trey Hendrickson. This could be the first year they're not in the mix since 2016 and finish with 5-6 wins, maybe 7. Coming in at number 3, the Carolina Panthers. Like the Broncos, the biggest story of the offseason was the fact that they didn't pick Justin Fields in the draft. Instead, they went with corner J.C. Horn out of South Carolina because they already spent a day 2 pick trading for Jets quarterback Sam Darnold. J.C. Horn, by the way, was absolutely born to play Hamlet. So look for that when he retires. Whether or not Sam Darnold will thrive with Carolina, uncertain. The good news is he'll never have to practice situational football. That's according to last year's starter though, Teddy Bridgewater. Now the Panthers had 2 major flaws in 2020. Christian McCaffrey got hurt, and they had one of the youngest defenses in the NFL, and it showed. That's why I really liked their 2 free agent moves of signing Chargers linebacker Denzel Perryman and Cardinals edge rusher Hassan Reddick. Last year, middle linebacker Tahir Whitehead was terrible in coverage, and that should be rectified with Perryman, who can pretty much do anything at the linebacker position. The Cardinals moved Reddick from middle to outside linebacker, where he thrived. Probably the only smart thing Vance Joseph has ever done, besides having the time of his life that one day.
You watch him now on the screen. Here he is, having the time of his life.
And Reddick dropped opposing quarterbacks 12.5 times last season. The addition of J.C. Horn to their secondary, paired with standout safety Jeremy Chin heading into his second season, Dante Jackson, who improved greatly from year 2 to year 3, plus the low-key signing of A.J. Boye, I think Carolina got better on the back end and middle of their defense. The question, though, still is the trenches. Just 1.8 sacks per game last year, which was tied with Atlanta as the 9th worst. Someone other than Brian Burns has to bring the heat from the defensive line. Now, their biggest loss this offseason was wide receiver Curtis Samuel, and I hate that they targeted Seahawks receiver David Moore. Not because he's not good, but because they already have DJ Moore at wide receiver. 2 D Moores at wide receiver? You wanted more D, Carolina. Come on. That said, they also took Terrace Marshall in the 2nd round, which should continue last year's tradition of having a sneaky good receiving group. But my sleeper pick is running back Chuba Hubbard, selected in the 4th. Chuba Hubbard. I know it's Chuba.
Anzalone.
Now, obviously, if you have makeout king Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, you don't really need anything else. But Chuba is a tall, 6-foot, 210-pound back that could be a nice and dangerous change of pace player coming in for run CMC, especially if he puts on a little NFL grit. I really thought Carolina was building something last year. They nearly beat the Chiefs, lost by 1 to Minnesota, and were 1 score away from beating the Raiders, Chargers, and Broncos. I put them ahead of the Saints because I think a fresh start for Darnold with a much better roster plus a QB's best friend, a running back you can hand off or throw to 100 times a season, gives this team 9 or maybe even 10 wins if that defense steps up. Number 2, it's the Atlanta Falcons. Kind of a surprise. The Falcons are a team that lost their best receiver in their franchise's history. Maybe their best player ever. And all they got back was a second-round pick. Sounds kind of demoralizing in the grand scheme of things, but when you keep in mind that they added the best tight end prospect, maybe ever, as well as one of the premier play callers in the league, there's no reason their offense can't be just as good or better than it's been in recent years. I say that even though Kyle Pitts showed up to the NFL draft clearly wanting the Packers to take him. The problem, like every year, is going to be on defense. They added Daron Harmon to try and offset losing longtime Falcon, the John Wick of the secondary, Keanu Neal, if John Wick were always injured, and Ricardo Allen at safety, but I'm not exactly blown away by their solution in free agency, adding Barkevious Mingo and Brandon Copeland on the D-line for a combined $2 million. Fabian Moreau might be a nice under-the-radar signing at corner, but the Falcons definitely did not make any big swings in free agency. But then again, that's to be expected when your team is stuck in the 7th circle of cap hell with the Saints, Rams, and Eagles. Basically, any NFC team that has been a contender over the last 5 to 6 years. Keep in mind, this team had to deal Julio Jones because they were $45 million over the cap back in April. The NFC, where all failed economic majors go to manage team spending. They also lost center Alex Mack. I don't care how much Matt Hennessy you drink, you're not going to Mac on anyone without Alex. In terms of the draft, all the focus was on Kyle Pitts, which was the best vote of confidence in Matt Ryan he could have got, because the Falcons were linked to Justin Fields as well. But I liked one of their later picks, safety Richie Grant out of Central Florida. That was the real Keanu Neal replacement, and I think his toughness and playmaking ability gives their defense some much needed edge. Put him next to corner AJ Terrell, who had a really nice rookie season that nobody noticed, and you've got some serious young talent in the secondary that they've lacked since the Super Bowl season. So I'm gonna make a case for the Falcons being good. And it's the offense taking a leap under Arthur Smith. Last year, their offense was 16th in points. I think they can be top 8 this season, which would be huge for a team that was only -18 in point differential, but still went 4-12. Plus, they signed a secret weapon, running back Mike Davis, who along with the Great Wall of China has quads that can be seen from space. It wouldn't take much in the way of luck to see this team go 10-7 or 11-6. And then yeah, stuck at number 1, the Buccaneers. Doing an off-season review of the Buccaneers is about as easy and redundant a task as you can get. All you have to do is copy and paste their starting offense and their starting defense and their special teams, and you're good to go. Boy, this team's come a long way since wasting draft picks on Robert Aguayo and Matt Gay. And in a day and age where Super Bowl champions usually leave to take the best free agent offer possible, the Bucs retained everyone on that team that matters, plus a couple free agent additions and their 2021 draft class. The only guy they really let walk was Joe Haig, and that was punishment for dropping that touchdown pass in the Super Bowl. An offensive lineman could have scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and he blew it, so I support running him the fuck out of town. Get out of here, Joe! With all of their re-signings, the only real move they made in terms of bringing in an outsider was replacing LaShawn McCoy with Giovanni Bernard, who spent the last 8 seasons with the Bungles. Bernard is essentially the same player as McCoy, only a little younger, a little better, and a lot more mature in the upper lip area. Seriously, which guy do you trust coming over to help you fix a leak in your bathroom? Which guy do you trust to refer you to his accountant? The only thing I don't trust is leaving my wife alone with Giovanni Bernard. Bernard is also the only player in the NFC South who can give Mike Davis a run for his money in the quad department. If that doesn't motivate you to not skip leg day or take steroids, I don't know what will. In the draft, Tampa Bay spent their 32nd overall pick on outside linebacker Joe Tryon out of Washington. I do like this move. Clearly, Tampa Bay saw the importance of a pass rush and decided they wanted to be ready for when Jason Pierre-Paul's career is over. By the way, how many average Joes have heard his name in conversation from various girlfriends? Joe, try on this shirt. It'll look so cute on you. Joe, try on these pants. I need to see if they fit. Joe, try on this engagement ring. Then Joe is so fed up that he swallows that ring and leaves her. Now, Tryon seems like a good pick, but their most intriguing selection was obviously their second rounder quarterback Kyle Trask out of Florida. Shout out Scooter Magruder. I made a video about the Patriots trying to replace Tom Brady for decades. And now the Bucs are going to give it their best shot. The key to keep Brady playing well is drafting his replacement every 2 years. You just don't do it in the first round like the Packers. So good job, Bucs. Overall, Tampa Bay, they're the Super Bowl champs, and they're the favorite to repeat. They did nothing to suggest they won't repeat. They have one of the easiest schedules in the league, and Brady hits this system in year 2 running, sprinting. Remember, Bruce Arians said it took Tom more than half the season to fully figure out the offense. So yeah, obviously the #1 pick in the NFC South, probably the #1 in the NFC, maybe the NFL. And I am terrified they are poised to three-peat, where Brady will ride off into the sunset, the blazing Tampa sunset, which won't even give Tom a fucking sunburn. That's how magical his dumb body is. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. I've done all of the AFC. We got the NFC West up. You can click on those videos to watch all of the division breakdown prediction powers ranks.